Aloha and welcome to the Genie Show. My name is Jeannie Joseph and I'm really glad you're watching us tonight because I have a really good show for you. I have three wonderful guests, former students in my acting class at Chaminade University, and we're going to talk about a program that I find really important. I think you'll find it really interesting too. I call it Act Resilient, and it grew out of our acting class at Chaminade University, and it combines theater games, improvisational comedy, some emotional flexibility drills, all kinds of good things that we found have had really beneficial results in helping students feel better, de-stressing them, making them feel a little bit more integrated, a little less stress, a little bit better focus and concentration. We'll tell you all about the benefits, but I want to go ahead and introduce my guests. Thank you for being here. I have Benjamin.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Jacob.
Oh, nice to be here.
And Bailey.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Now, you guys were in my acting class, so maybe each of you could just give me a little bit of an idea of what the class meant for you and what benefits you got out of it. So, Bailey, we'll start with you. Would you tell us what the class did for you?
It was really exuberating. Kind of forgot how much of a release it could be. It was also kind of a whole new look on a lot of different things.
Great. And Jacob, what were some of the highlights for you?
It was exciting just to get back into it. I had done just a little bit in high school, but not a lot. But I'd really forgotten just how much fun it was.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt like getting back to a part of me that I kind of forgot existed in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And so I guess I didn't really know what to expect. And actually going through it again, having those weeks to work out things was just kind of exciting, and it was always something I looked forward to.
It really is a great stress reliever. It was just, I looked forward to going to class every week.
Great. Now, you guys are in the Marines, right? You both are in the Marines, and you're the son of a Marine.
Yes.
Who's deployed right now. How many deployments has he had?
No, he's been on at least 6. Coming up
6.
will be his 7th. He'll be leaving in another month.
Okay. And so you moved back home to kind of help out with that? Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of stress in the military. And did you find that this class was a good stress reliever?
Definitely. I thought it was a huge stress reliever. I tend to get stressed out fairly easily myself, and I always ended up feeling better the evening after class. That was really what helped me just relax for that week.
Yeah. Great. Good.
Yeah, there were definitely times where I'd walk into class and I'd really be kind of down here real low, and then by the end of class really have alleviated a lot of just kind of the morose doldrums that I'd been in before. I don't know if you can't help but just get kind of lifted up a little bit just by doing all sorts of crazy stuff
Right,
that
right.
we do. I mean, it just really takes you outside your box and gives you an opportunity just to kind of step outside the situation you're in, whatever stresses you might be having, and
Right.
really just explore different feelings
Yes.
than the ones you're currently experiencing
Right.
in reality.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the great things about improv comedy is it kind of gives you emotional flexibility because you're kind of learning how to move through different emotions, and you can kind of see that you're not stuck with a given set of emotions. You really do have choices. So did you find that that led over into other areas of your life, your daily life, your home life to do that? Did it?
I'd definitely say so. I mean, these two kind of took it out of my mouth. I look forward to class, and by the end of class, it's, you know what? Work's not so bad. I think I'm going to try a different approach the next day.
Yeah.
So but yeah, definitely it helped socially, at home. Looked at my little brother, you know what, I like you today.
Yeah.
I like you at the moment. So run along before that changes. I'm going to go practice my monologue now.
You really get kind of stuck into a very particular train of thought.
Right.
I mean, just life kind of drills into you a certain perspective and just a certain way you approach living. And something that class really, really brought out was this kind of notion that you can think differently.
Yes.
You can be different than
Yes.
what kind of like the world traps you into being
Right.
if you let it. And so, yeah, just kind of that experience of being able to explore different emotions, being able to explore different personalities,
Right.
and just get I think I might have even mentioned, or just kind of get outside the box.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people get kind of afraid of their emotions. They don't know how to have them, how to handle them, how to let go of them, how to move through them. They feel like they're stuck in certain places. And I think one of the things that improv comedy does is it kind of teaches you, like, your emotional muscle gets stronger. You know what I mean? That way you use it more and you trust it more, and you realize that you're not stuck with a given set of responses, that there are other choices. I think that's what improv comedy really does. Because in a way, you know, if you look at, you know, people who've been through traumatic experiences, the brain can kind of go into what I call lockdown, you know? And improv comedy puts you in the present moment, you know, because you can't really be anywhere else other than right here, which is the way kids are, you know, so we kind of get back to this part of ourselves that's more playful and free and flexible. And so that's why I think it can be very, very useful to people who've been in difficult situations, you know, whether it's the military or other, just real life. You know, we all have these traumas, and improv can loosen that, you know, so that you just feel like you're not stuck there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I did realize personally when I started the class, and we were doing just, you know, our different improvisation techniques and different scenes. Whenever I had the choice of which emotion I would choose, I generally picked the same few. There was a small amount, and throughout the class, I can definitely tell that I built that, you know, emotional muscle to where I learned how to create and even feel the just a plethora of different emotions rather than those small few.
Right. And I think that builds your confidence for emotions. You realize, you know, you can go through difficult emotions. We can play a scene where you get really angry or really scared or really silly, and you know that you know, you can just flip a switch and change to another emotion. You're not stuck with any given emotion. And that builds your confidence for your own, you trust your own emotional self. You know, I think that's really important training. That's why I'd like to see, you know, all people in the military have the opportunity to have an experience of this where they get this kind of training in their families too. Because I know some people brought their husbands or wives to class, and that was really fun to see people just jump in. And I was really glad you invited some of your coworkers, and they just jumped right in. It was really fun to see that.
Well, it was really shocking for me to see that.
Yeah.
Because you get so used to experiencing people in a very particular light, especially in the military.
Right.
I mean, military in a very real way is hierarchy and stuff like that, and just kind of position and role. To be able to almost for that period of time get to know those individuals, my coworkers, and a lot of them were Marines that worked under me.
Right.
And it was kind of camaraderie building for one, but also it really helped me get to know them, I think, better. I think it helped me to kind of learn to communicate better with them, learn how they kind of communicate, and that was really kind of a great growth experience.
That was eye-opening. I know. I mean, you could work with someone day after day, and then until you go into an improv class, you really learn what's really inside them, past that sort of persona.
I would have never expected to see some of the stuff I saw
that's great.
with some of those guys. So yeah, those were some of my favorite memories actually from class, was doing the stuff with my you know, coworkers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
From the shop.
And I think it's really good for team building because, of course, improv, you have to really trust your partner. You have to really learn to read cues really quickly, you know, nonverbal cues, you know, like what is this person feeling, what's going on in their head, you know, to be able to react quickly. So I think it really changes your brain processing speed. I think it increases your focus and your memory and your concentration, and it really builds that ability to read the other person's behavior really fast, almost at it's faster than the speed of light. Would you say that?
Speed. Yeah, I'd
really,
definitely say that. Especially some of the exercises that you end up doing, where you learn how to, even like closing your eyes, sitting in a circle, we had to count to 10.
Yeah.
You know, well, you have to kind of feel where everybody else is going with it. I can't see you, I know what you're doing, but one.
Right. In that game, we're trying to figure out where everyone else is without speaking, so you're sensing who's going to speak and when they're going to speak, and you get your extended perception going, which is really great, you know, and I think that really has great applications for life and different situations you find yourselves in, certainly in the military.
It's totally true. I mean, like, it's almost like learning how to communicate in a deeper level, in a level that's not necessarily like verbal or anything like that, but it's really just kind of becoming aware more aware
Yes.
of the other person.
Yes.
I mean, the applications of that are just so numerous. Instead of just talking to people or at people or that kind of thing, you're really kind of entering into communication
Right.
with those people, and there's kind of a difference there.
Huge difference, right?
And-
Because words can lie, but body language, unless you're trained,
Yeah.
usually will tell the truth. And so as you become better improvisers, you become very good body readers and very good body communicators. So you're creating a more coherent message to other people, and you're also receiving more clearly what's being communicated to you, right? Because we talked about that. I could say, I love you. You know, like the words say I love you, but the message is
great.
right. The message is certainly not that, right? So, you know, so much of communication, we get lost in the words and we're listening to the words and we don't realize that that's not where the real communication is. And I think improv gets us to the heart of that, and we start dealing with people at a more core level.
Is enough,
Right.
and that's abundance as well.
Well, I think that's a great tip, is to recognize that by starting with the feeling of acceptance that what is here is good is the fastest way to change. And a lot of people think that we need to be in this rush, 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 push, push, push energy, you know, this sort of type A mentality to create the kind of changes that we want. But I think that what we're talking about here is a different approach to change, that change comes from a certain fundamental comfort with what is.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel is true
Yeah.
for me, and I think that once again, it's about being present with oneself, and that's what creates self-awareness. And from that point, we can direct change instead of feeling like we're a victim of it.
Okay.
And then we can use our own creative power to create the results we want. Quite often we try and push the river instead of going with the flow.
Right.
And going with the flow is what helps us to stay present. And when I talk about the psychology or prosperity consciousness, psychology of wealth, and being present with self-awareness, that is self-acceptance. That is accepting things as they are. And when we do that, we're actually sitting with the abundance we already have. And once we not only accept but learn to appreciate it, appreciation is one of the fastest ways to abundance, because we're focused on what we're grateful for.
Right.
I love my family. I love my friends. Hey, you know what? I do get some interest in my bank account each day. My health is good. I'm able to sit quietly each day, 5 minutes a day. You know, some people say, oh, I don't have time to sit by myself. Even a minute per day, that's starting to create that abundance. And simply by focusing, deliberately focusing on the beauty that's around us right now. And I know that in hard times or in hard places in our mind, sometimes it's very difficult to see.
Yes.
And that's okay too, because if you can see the stars in the dark, or the one star, it's still a star. And it's also okay to honor what's difficult or challenging, because that's also part of accepting oneself. So if we're in a negative space, rather than pushing it away, we could say, you know what, I'm feeling not so good today, I'm having a hard time. If we come to a place of self-acceptance around that, that is self-love. That is accepting one's imperfection. That is being present in the moment. That is part of the process and the journey. And already, just by being present with even what we feel is unpleasant, we're already creating abundance.
Yes.
And that is a huge key that I think people would really benefit from. Once we're able to accept what's difficult or unpleasant, we acknowledge it, validate it, and that itself is transformation and release, and we're able to move towards the next step, which isn't the point of acceptance. It's just what happens naturally.